Superman Krypton Coaster is the Bolliger Mabillard Floorless roller coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. B&M has built 15 of these roller coasters worldwide. I have ridden every floorless installation in North America and Europe, and Superman is easily my favorite. In this video, I will be reviewing Superman and explaining what makes the steel coaster so great. B&M unveiled their first floorless coaster in 1999 at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. The ride was originally named Medusa, but it was rethemed to Bizarro in 2009. This coaster took B&M's familiar sit-down trains and removed the floor so the legs of riders dangled above the track. It was a neat visual, and when combined with a smooth coaster filled with inversions, it's no surprise the original floorless coaster was such a success. As a result, B&M was contracted to build 4 additional floorless coasters the following year in 2000. 3 of them would go to Six Flags parks, and one of them was none other than Superman Krypton Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. This coaster would be a major help for Fiesta Texas. Before Superman opened, this San Antonio park was home to 6 different roller coasters, but their major coasters all offered rough rides. The original Rattler was tearing itself apart and shuffling start to finish. Joker's Revenge, Boomerang, and Poltergeist all had over-the-shoulder restraints and some choppy transitions resulting in headbanging. Those who have ridden Poltergeist today know it now runs with lap bars, but the ride originally ran with over-the-shoulder restraints until the 2002 season. Superman would be a refreshing change of pace. It would be smooth, and it would give the park a new signature coaster. The original plans for this coaster featured a 114-foot or 38-meter tall vertical loop and a 96-foot or 29-meter tall dive loop. These stats were identical to the first 2 inversions on Medusa, which strongly suggests the original design for Superman may have been a clone of the New Jersey coaster. However, Six Flags Fiesta Texas and B&M modified the layout extensively. The dive loop was removed. The coaster's height was increased to 168 feet, or 51 meters. The ride would receive the world's largest vertical loop, standing 145 feet, or 44 meters tall, a record it would hold until Full Throttle at Six Flags Magic Mountain opened in 2013 with its 160-foot, or 49-meter tall vertical loop. But more importantly, the final design for Superman would utilize the Fiesta Texas Quarry wall. The lift hill, first drop, and helix all travel atop the quarry. It's an amazing visual, both on and off ride. It's really neat when you're at the adjacent shopping center and see Superman poking above the wall. This location does make it prone to closures in cold weather and windy conditions though. The ride can valley in those conditions. For a while, this ride wouldn't even operate during holiday in the park, but more recently it has, as long as the temperature is high enough. The ride also cannot operate in high winds, which is an issue many of the rides at Fiesta Texas that pop above the quarry wall suffer from. Superman is located in the back of Fiesta Texas. The ride travels between the quarry wall and an irrigation pond. Despite being named after the Man of Steel, the ride has hardly any theming. The ride has a red, blue, and yellow color palette to match the famous superhero's colors, but the only theme element you'll find is a Superman statue perched atop the loop. But that statue looks really cool since it overlooks the park. Superman has never had much of a wait in my visits to Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and that's mostly because of this ride's astronomical capacity. The ride is capable of running 3 trains, and I have seen the park utilize all 3 at once. In my most recent visits, I've only seen the ride running 2 trains, which is fine since they'd usually double stack if they ran 3 trains. Each train seats a maximum of 32 riders across 8 rows. These trains have the familiar B&M over-the-shoulder restraints. While they are hard, the coaster tracks very smoothly, so there's barely any headbanging. While the front does offer better visuals, I do prefer the back since you get more whip on the drops. Superman begins with a turn out of the station and the aforementioned 168-foot tall lift hill above the quarry wall. It's quite the shock to leave the confines of Fiesta Texas and see a shopping center in front of you. You then traverse a slow U-turn and crest the drop, which is fantastic. For one, the visuals are top-notch. You cannot see the bottom from atop the drop. The drop starts by sharply twisting to the right. You then straighten out, and the second half of the drop offers a nice weightlessness sensation since the back is whipped down it. At the bottom of this drop, you reach the ride's top speed of 70 miles per hour or 113 kilometers per hour, and it feels every bit that fast. The speed makes your eyes water up front. I also usually start to gray out in the pullout from the drop. You then enter the supersized vertical loop. Since you slow down at the top, you get a little bit of float at the top, especially if you're in the back row. The ride then accelerates towards the ground, regaining the blistering speed. You then rise back atop the quarry wall and traverse a really slow helix. This helix offers no force or laterals, it's all about the visuals, but the twisting drop off the wall is great. It feels like a shorter version of the first drop, with a sharp twist at the start and weightlessness in the second half. That's followed by my favorite inversion on the ride, the 0G roll. It's usually my favorite inversion on most B&Ms. You float out of your seat for the duration of the element, while the train violently rotates 360 degrees. That's followed by a cobra roll. These aren't my favorite inversions. The first half of the cobra roll is dull, but the exit of the cobra roll does have some good whip towards the back of the train. You then travel up this inclined S-hill. The transition in the middle of the S-bend is quite sharp, so it has some good whip towards the front of the train. You don't really get that whip in the back of the train though. You then rocket through the mid-course brake run. I have never seen it slow down the train one bit on any of my rides on Superman, even on a hot summer day. As a result, you abruptly dive to the right off the mid-course. With all this speed, the drop is incredibly snappy, and it gives a faint pop of airtime in the back as well, which is exceedingly rare to get on a twisting drop like this. That is how much speed you have. You then whip through the first corkscrew. It is very disorienting at the speed at which you take it. This element does rattle though. As a whole, Superman is a very smooth coaster, but the two corkscrews really do shake the train. It didn't cause any headbanging, but I certainly felt the vibrations. The first corkscrew is followed by a speedy and forceful turn. You then subtly dip down before the second corkscrew. And this dip feels like the floor is dropped out from underneath you because of how abrupt it is. You then charge through the second corkscrew, which rides identically to the first one. It's fast, but rattly. You then traverse a quick turnaround that doesn't really add anything to the ride, and then you hop into the brake run. If you're up front, this hill gives some very weak floater airtime, and then you hit the brake run ending the ride. Some of the B&M Floorless coasters have developed quite the rattle over the years, but thankfully, Superman is smooth outside those aforementioned corkscrews. In terms of pacing, Superman really excels. Because the mid-course brake run is always disabled, at least on the times I've experienced this coaster, you never slow down and you haul through the layout start to finish. And almost all the elements are good to great. So what would I rate Superman Krypton Coaster? I would give this coaster an 8.5 out of 10. This is easily my favorite Floorless coaster, so it gets a half-point bump. The unique Quarry setting really elevates this ride, since it gives the coaster two fantastic drops in the first half. And then all 6 of the inversions, except the Cobra Roll, are wonderful. They offer a mix of float and whip. This coaster is extremely re-rideable. I do prefer the 2 RMCs, an Iron Rattler and Wonder Woman, at Fiesta Texas, but Superman is firmly my third favorite coaster in the park. It complements the ejector airtime of those 2 RMCs perfectly. So those are my thoughts on Superman Krypton Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Have you been on this coaster? How do you think it compares to the other Floorless coasters? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.